Hello, welcome one and all to episode 117 of A Stitch in Time. Today is Tuesday, pardon me, October 8th, 2019. My name is Carol, my Ravelry name is Knitsnpurls, and I am coming to you from my home in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, not too far east of Vancouver. Hello to any viewers who might be checking out the podcast for the first time. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you like what you see and that you'll be back. And of course, hello to any returning viewers. I really appreciate you coming back once again to spend some time with me. It has been a crazy day here weather-wise. We woke up to rain, we've had sunshine, we've had hail, and my husband even drove through a patch of rain mixed with snow. And in fact, just before I sat down to record, I looked outside and there's fresh snow on the mountains and the snow line is quite low. Put a picture in here. But it's brightening up again. I'm looking out towards the west here. There's blue sky mixed with cloud, so hopefully that gives good lighting for the podcast. A little while ago it was so dark, like it was early morning or early evening, and I wasn't quite sure how the lighting was going to work out. And it got really chilly too, so I put on a sweater, which I'll talk about in a minute, and I'm hoping it doesn't get to be too warm for it before the podcast recording's over. So I have actually quite a bit to talk to you about this week. I have several works in progress, two of which you haven't seen before. And of course I went to Knit City on Saturday, and so I have some footage from that, and of course I'll show you what I picked up. So I'll put that part at the end. Before we get into all the knitting though, I do want to remind you that the Elsa Socks Knit Along is going on in the Ravelry group. There are two threads, a chatter thread where you can chat about things as you're making them, and then an FO thread or finished projects thread where you can post your finished projects. And the cal ends at the end of November, and then I will draw a prize or draw a winner from each thread. So I have sewn the prizes. So each winner will win one of these project bags that features this really fun socks on a clothesline fabric. You have a kind of a turquoise polka dot bottom. I found this lining which matches these socks perfectly, and then each bag features a yellow kind of speckled polka dot pocket and straps. So hopefully those appeal to you and that you will take part in that knit along. There is one pair of finished socks and several on the go, and it's really exciting to see my pattern being knit up by other people and in different yarns. It's quite a thrilling experience, I have to say. Okay, first we'll talk about what I am wearing. This is my Sew Faded. This is the second one that I knit, so it's in my projects as another Sew Faded. It is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and I knit this last spring between January and March out of 3 colors of hedgehog fibers, which I had bought last summer at Stephen B's yarn shop in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I don't remember the names of the colorways anymore. I think one was Vengeance, but they are listed along with the quantities I used in my projects page. So I'll stand up so you can get a closer look. You can see it's a rounded neck, has this garter stitch along the sleeves, this raglan shaping, and those are the 3 colors I used. And I added my own waist shaping into the sweater. So yeah, it's not too warm yet, but boy, I sure needed it earlier. It was just all of a sudden really, really chilly in here. So the first project I will talk about is one that had been sitting idle for quite some time, and that is the Cornish cream tea socks by Helen Stewart. This is a pattern from her Handmade Sock Society 2, and the next pattern actually comes out on Thursday, so I thought I better get cracking. I do not expect to finish the second sock by then, but I have cast on the cuff. So I'm going to, well, I'll talk about the yarn and I'll show this a little bit more closely. So this is being knit from Black Cat Custom Yarn, their luxury sock. There's their label, in the Pixie Dust colorway. It looks like this. So kind of a light base with some very soft pastel colors. And the luxury base has 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. So it's really soft. So you can see it knits up with almost like a confetti cupcake kind of look to it. And I'm going to just turn this on the sock blocker so you can get a better idea of what the pattern looks like. So the back is just plain. So it's nice to have that little half row of rest. And then the front features this kind of fan-shaped pattern that runs up the middle. It's got a little bit of garter stitch, some twisted stitches, and then this little 1x2 cable that runs up and down each side. So none of the stitches are hard to do, and the pattern is quite intuitive. So it's been a good one to pick up again. I think I had just finished picking up for the gusset last time. I would have been, the last time I would have worked on them, and I'm not sure when I last showed them to you, probably about that stage. I'm guessing a good month or more ago. I cast them on at the beginning of August, so it's about time I got these finished, don't you think? So I've been enjoying working on them again. Picked them up a few days ago, and I am keeping that project in this teacup bag, which features all the same colors that are in the yarn, so it's kind of fun. Just cut a perfect match for that. Let's take a sip. I made a chai latte out of some stash tea. I think it's called Holiday Chai. Just the right kind of drink for a day like this. I don't know if you can see. I'm probably going to end up spilling it if I tip that cup anymore. Last week, I believe it was last week, I showed you a pair of plain vanilla socks that I had finished for my husband. So of course I had to cast on a new pair, because I always need to have plain socks on the go. So this time I chose this Regia 4-ply yarn in the We Love Denim color series. I'm going to bring that up really close so you can see how this one knits up. Not exactly stripes, but kind of. So the yarn looks like that. And I've only done a little bit. I have cast on for both socks, and I've knit maybe 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch on each. So that gives you an idea. I cast them on the night before went into Knit City, so I worked on them in the car. I've worked on them a little bit since then, and we're going away this coming weekend, so I'll have some more car knitting time. So these will have grown by the time I show them to you next. The project that's taken most of my attention this week, though, is the newest shawl in Helen Stewart's Shawl Society 4, and it's called Sunset Skies. And it is a crescent-shaped shawl with bands, short row bands of color that are divided by lace stripes. I guess is the best way to put it. I'm just looking, there's a good look at it there. So, I have made a series of errors with this shawl, none of which have anything to do with the pattern. It's just been my own failure to read instructions and information. I guess I was just too excited to get started. So when the pattern came out, I looked through my stash of gradients and minis and didn't see anything that really caught my eye. So I ended up going on to Knitpicks and finding this pack of, they call it a mini pack of Stroll Tonal, and this is the Sunset colorway. So I figured that was just perfect, right? Sunset for the Sunset Sky shawl. How much more appropriate could it get? And then I picked up a skein of their bear yarn to go with it, their Stroll Bear. So my yarn arrived and I started getting ready to knit, and then I realized that I didn't need 5 contrasting colors, I needed 6. So I went through my considerable sock yarn leftovers, and I found this leftovers of this Yarn Chef Minestrone in the carrot juice colorway, and I am almost positive it is the same base as the Stroll because it feels and looks exactly the same. So if you put it with those, you can see just how well the color blends in with that Sunset mini pack. So I was off and running. So I cast on and I knit my first colored stripe, and then I knit my second colored stripe, and my third, and my fourth, with the little bits of the Stroll Bear, you know, in between. And I think I was just starting my 5th and realized that instead of knitting lace in between all the colored stripes, I'd been knitting 4 rows of garter stitch. It's like, seriously? So I had to take it all the way back to the end of the first stripe and start over. And then I think a couple of stripes later, I realized that I had goofed again. You're supposed to, there are four rows of lace in between, and you're supposed to knit back the 4th row, and I had purled it back. Well, by that point, I was not going back again to change it, and so I'm calling it a design element, and I'm just continuing doing it that way through the whole shawl. So would you like to see it? How's that for sunset? It's bright, isn't it? Bright, cheerful, fun, fun, fun to work on. So if you can see I'll show you with this gold stripe because that's the easiest to show you with. You can see that it is wider on this end than it is on this end, and that's because you do a series of short rows to make it into, I guess a wedge might be the best way to put it. And so you continue to do that along this edge for the first 3 colors. And then you switch, and the last 3 on this side end up with the wider end. So that kind of balances the shawl out. And then once you've done all the colored stripes, you continue with your main color, work some lace, you work a big section of garter stitch, put the lace, do a little stripe of garter stitch, do a little more lace, do more garter stitch, and then you do a picot bind off. So definitely the colored section kept my interest because I couldn't wait to see how the next stripe looked and the next stripe looked. I have a feeling it might take me a little longer to get through the latter half of the shawl because it is all this bear colorway. But at least there are some milestones as you go along, and that should help keep me motivated. But yeah, it's just fun, bright shawl to work on, especially on some of the more dismal days that we've had lately. So, while I was shopping for that yarn at Knitpicks, the reason I went on to Knitpicks in the first place was to get suede bottoms for my felted slippers, which I did get. So they're now have those bottoms on. They're by Fiber Trends, and they come with some yarn to sew them on, but in my experience the sewing wears through very quickly, and so I glue mine on with fabric glue. And you sometimes need to reattach them. They'll still come undone a little bit, but I've just found that a better way than sewing on the soles. In any case, when I was looking, I also was drawn to this mini pack, which they call Moody Blues, and I know the glare is on it, but you can see it has like a light, like a lavender color, which is a little bit deeper than what I'm seeing on my camera, and a series of blues and purples. And then I picked up this Stroll Tonal in the, or Heather, I guess, Stroll Fingering Dove Heather, like a light gray, heathery gray to go with it. So I don't know what this will become, but I just thought it was a nice combination. And the price was quite reasonable. So the thing with Knitpicks, if I'm placing an order, I usually place a fairly large order to make it worth the shipping and such. I also picked up a couple of dishcloth pattern books from my mom. She knits dishcloths all year long, is always looking for patterns, so I think there's 52 in each of these books. I think they're put out by Knitpicks, so I'll give her those for Christmas. Okay, let's see what else I've got written down here. Yeah, I'll just guess transition to what's been going on around here, and then I'll finish up with, oh no, I know, I wanted to talk to you about dabbling in design. I finished this sample the large sample socks for my next sock design. I don't have, oh, I probably have the details on my show notes from before. They were knit from, it's Black Cat Custom Yarn Luxury Sock, but I don't think I wrote down what the colorway is. I think it's Golgothan, or Golgathon, maybe you say it like that. In any case, that light gives you a really good close-up look at what they look like. So, as I mentioned last week, I'm hoping to get photos done this coming weekend up at the cabin, and then the pattern should be out sometime early November. I won't be able to get it out before I leave for holidays on the 17th. So, but I'm really hoping for decent weather up there and the chance to get some good photos of that pair on my husband, and also the other two samples on myself. So now what's been going on here? Cameron was away for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Got back really, really late last night. Poor guy. Their flights were horrible. Like, the flights themselves were fine, but the times were awful. He left early, I think about 4:30 on Friday morning, and then didn't get home till about 2 o'clock last night, and then he had to get up and go to work this morning. So he had a very busy day ahead, including a meeting at head office this afternoon, and so He's going to be really tired tonight, I'm sure. Ooh, the sunshine is really peeking through now, and I'm starting to feel quite warm. So I had a really nice weekend. Besides Knit City, I did a lot of knitting, and I did some sewing, just a few errands, got my hair cut. It's really, I'm not sure about it. It's a bit shorter. I know it usually takes a week or two to for me to grow into it, but I don't know. I didn't mind it yesterday. Today I like it a little less, but it is what it is. I can't make it grow. It's always a little different every time I get it cut. Anyway, did that. So of course I curled Thursday night. We lost our game, sadly, but then my sister Allison phoned me yesterday morning to see if I could spare for her yesterday afternoon because she wasn't feeling well. So she and her husband play with another couple in this Monday dinner league. So my brother-in-law picked me up, and then normally I play lead on my team, but Allison plays second on this team. So I was playing second. So it was a little bit different than I used to, though I have done it before. But the man who plays third likes to sweep. And so I guess when they play, Allison, my sister, will go and do the third duties when it's the time for the skip to throw the stones. So how it works is your lead goes first, your second goes second, your third throws their 2 rocks, then they go to the other end of the ice and they hold the broom for the skip when he or she throws his or her rocks. And then by being at that end, they're also calling on and off the sweepers. So I've never done that ever before. So that was a new experience. And it was kind of fun. And I didn't have time to think about it because I didn't find out about it till I literally was on the ice ready to play. And so it's good to know that if I ever have to do it again, to sub in for someone, certainly no expert, but at least now I have that much experience doing it. So it was kind of fun. It made the game, just playing in a different position and then doing that too, took me a little bit out of my comfort zone playing. A couple times I was ready to throw first rocks. I had my gripper off and was ready to go, and then realized, oh no, I don't throw till the second ones. But yeah, it just gave the game just a little bit of a different dimension. It was quite fun, actually. So yeah, other than that, I think it's just Knit City news. So I am going to put in some footage that I've compiled from the actual event, and then after that I will come back and show you what I picked up and tell you a little bit more about it. So if you're not interested in that, that's just fine. I'll never know anyway. So thank you very much for watching this week. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. And for you others, stick by or stand by for some Knit City recap. Hey, here's Jessica and I on our way to Knit City. It's about 8:45. It's not raining yet. Apparently it's supposed to later on, but right now we even have a little bit of sunshine coming through. So the hard question this morning was what to wear to Knit City. I had a sweater on and realized it's way too hot. So I've got my storm shawl on. Jessica, what are you wearing?
I have the Lizzie Bennett shawl, which I actually made out of a yarn that I purchased at Knit City last year. It is lichen and lace. It's a fingering weight yarn, and it's in the colorway lichen. So
oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are you most excited about seeing?
I really just want to focus on looking at like yarns and vendors that I don't have easy access to where I am. If if I can drive to it within, like, say, a half an hour to an hour from my house, then I probably won't buy anything from that store or vendor. But you know, unless it's like a specialty dyer that, you know, they take forever to restock or things like that. So yeah, mostly I'm just excited for looking at things that are different from what I have in my surrounding area. I don't have anything particular in mind that I want to get. I just want to see what draws my interest.
Yeah, this year I don't have much of a plan. Last year I had a couple of projects I definitely was shopping for. This year I'm just going to see what catches my eye, and looking forward to looking around.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, be there in about an hour. So here's the Knitters Lounge. There's Sweet George's booth there. Stitch Mischief. I'm not sure what those are. There's Jessica. So we just had a spot of lunch. Show them what you bought.
Sorry?
Show them what you bought.
Oh, yes.
Jessica's made her beautiful purchase of this yarn.
It's going to be socks for my husband.
So nice. And then she found like the perfect bag for her. She loves foxes and owls and
Foxes.
So this is my first purchase. It's from Cozy Knitter. It's a skein of Advent yarn. So I won't know what it looks like until December 1st. We'll just do a little walk through here. Give you an idea of what's reading here. Oh, Jessica saw something that caught her eye. We've been doing a lot of this. This is lichen and lace booth.
Get them on the way then. Yeah.
I think there is like knitwear everywhere. So much color. Vivid Yarn Studio, there's some beautiful, beautiful things. There's a shawl up ahead that I want to go ask about. It's done with 2 colors of Malabrigo. And I'm going to learn more about the corner here. There's Mercerie hats. They're selling Hannah Mini there. They're from Seattle. Farmer's Daughter Fiber. Hannah's Fiber Arts there. I want to check that out a little more.
Almost 12:30. Come to the Tin Can Knits booth, booth 234 for a group photo of all your lovely love notes sweaters.
You can tell it's 12:30. We've had lunch, and there's Fiddly and Lone Larch. Fiddly is the dye works, and Lone Larch is project bags. Another good corner. There's Yarn Ink, Chilliwack's own Black Cat custom yarn. Ancient Arts. Coming back to this booth, Earl Grey Fiber, and finally decided what to buy. There's a Tin Can Knits booth with all their samples.
Just take some photos.
Black sheep yarns. I don't think we even made it into there. There's Valley Yarn, that's a local yarn shop, retail shop. Beehive has a booth here this year. I didn't even bother going in there except for when I go to Victoria. Block Fiber Studios is one of my favorite. I just couldn't find something to settle on this year. I love their yarn. sun is well and truly out now, so I've changed into something a little bit cooler. As you can see from the footage, Saturday turned out to be quite a nice day after all. In fact, we had a beautiful weekend, which was great considering that they had been predicting rain all weekend. So we really lucked out with that. So Jessica picked me up, I think it was just before 9 in the morning. So by the time we parked and got into the event, it was somewhere around 10 o'clock. So I had gone online the night before and taken a look at the vendor list and clicked on a lot of websites. And the only thing that I decided I really wanted to get was an Advent skein from the Cozy Knitter. So that was our first stop. And it is a skein of their Bliss base, which is superwash merino and nylon, and it's done with 24 stripes, and there's two, from my understanding, there's 2 skeins that are identical in there, and just the idea just really appealed to me. So we headed to the Cozy Knitter, and I did get my Advent skein, and as I mentioned in the video, I will resist the urge to open this up until December 1st. Maybe I'll do it on November 30th just so I can get the skeins wound and ready to go for the next day. But maybe some of you are going to peek, but I am not going to. So we took a walk around before either of us bought anything. And in fact, it wasn't till sometime after lunch that I finally made some choices. So as I showed you on the video, there was a shawl that had caught my eye, and when we were in the booth the first time, one of the women who was manning it was speaking to a customer about the shawl. So I came back when they were free to learn more about it myself. So the booth was So Much More. And the shawl was the butterfly or papillon shawl. And I'll give you a close-up there. It's just really unique construction. It's short rows done with either a variegated yarn, or you can do it with, I think it's 5 or 6 colors, solid colors of other yarns, and then you have a contrasting yarn. Just really intrigued me. I'm always drawn to things with unique construction. I saw on Ravelry that actually there's tons and tons of projects for this, so chances are a lot of you have already heard of it. If it was on my radar, it went off it again for whatever reason. I think it was seeing it in person that really did it for me. The designer is Marinia. That's Marinia Knits. And I don't see her last name here. I will write it down here because I know that on Ravelry had her full name, but I don't see it on the pattern. So in the video I mentioned it was knit from 2 skeins of Malabrigo, and that wasn't correct. The sample that was done up, I misunderstood, was done from 2 skeins of Earth Unique yarns, and then 1 skein of Malabrigo, and that was the solid. So the booth was selling these combinations of 2 skeins of the Unique, and then 1 skein of a complementary or contrasting color. The one that was in the video, they didn't have that combination anymore, and I was really torn between this one and another that was kind of fall colors that had a green contrast. I finally settled on this one. This was actually paired up with a kind of a gray yarn, but they had a selection of solid yarns that also went along with them, and I decided this was more in my wheelhouse. Now, even though these are both from the same dye lot, you can see this one has more of this color in it. And this is not showing up on camera, at least not on my screen as well as, or as it looks in real life. On the screen, it looks much more pink, and I would say it's got more of a purple tone, cooler purple tone in real life. More like this purple color in here. It seems to show up better in the variegated than it does. Sorry about that. My battery died. You know, I had the forethought to plug in my camera to the charger, but then I neglected to plug the charger into the power source. Brilliant. And then the phone rang. Then I knocked the camera over. So here I am. Where was I? I was wanting to show you the yarn label from this yarn. So it's from a company called Earth, U-R-T-H, and it's called Unique. And this is color 3812. And then this is Art Yarns Merino Cloud. So it has some cashmere in it, I think. Yeah, 20% cashmere. I think it's color 348. I'm assuming that's what that means. So as I said, this is more purpley than pink or red as it's showing up. But I think that's just going to be such a fun project. Can't wait to get started on that. There. So then I just kept going back to certain booths, trying to make decisions on what I wanted to get from them. One of those was the Cozy Knitter. When I went in to get my Advent yarn, I knew I wanted to go back and get just a skein of their regular self-striping. So they had a lot of combinations of their self-striping yarn with little minis. And I finally settled on this one, which is called Secret Garden. And then this is just called Green. So that'll be fun. Hopefully you can see the colors, gray, green, kind of a peachy pink. It looks like just a natural color. So those will be fun to knit up. Looking forward to that. Another booth that I kept going, well, I went back a couple times, was Midnight Cravings. So last year I had bought yarn from them for my time trade shawl, and I knew I wanted to get something from them again this year. So I had been looking online, and one thing that caught my eye was they had a fade set of a sort of a dark green, medium green, and a white with green speckles. But they didn't have that at the show. They did have the lighter shade of green and the cream with the green speckles, but I really liked the darker green. And actually, in talking to one of the dyers and owners, she let me know that they actually have like a $7 flat rate shipping in Canada, which is phenomenal because our postage rates here are crazy. So I think what I'm going to do is order yarn, and rather than do the fade, I'm going to get enough of the dark yarn plus the skein of the white with the little green speckles and do a zweig, is that how you say it? I'm pretty sure that's Caitlin Hunter. I'm going to write it down here. You've probably seen it. It's like a colorwork sweater. The yoke is one color, and then I think there's maybe some brioche or just some color work at the bottom there, and then the rest of the sweater is one color. And yeah, so I have my mind on that. But in the meantime, I didn't want to leave empty-handed. So I bought this pairing of Sweet Sock. This is the City of Bridges colorway, and that refers to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is where they're from. And then this is the Afternoon Tea mini, and that just goes great for heels and toes. So looking forward to knitting that up. I thought I might do is take this on our upcoming trip, because we will be going to Venice, and even though apparently Hamburg in Europe is the city of bridges, Venice, where we will be, also has lots of bridges. So I thought maybe that would be a good yarn to take for sentimental reasons on our upcoming holiday. I also kept going back to Ancient Arts. They had these mini sets done up. And when I first saw this one, I was really drawn to it and thought, I had my jean jacket on and I thought this would be great to wear like with denim. And then they also had a set that had kind of lilacs and purples, which, you know, are really in my wheelhouse. And I finally decided to go with this one. I'm going to take the lid off so you can get a better look. They just had these packaged up so nicely, I thought. There, that's better. This is their Sock NATO Twisters mini skeins kit, they call it. So I'm going to do some kind of little mini shawl or cowl. They had some cowls knit up and some socks knit up out of these sets. But I want to use it for some kind of neck wear. So I'll do a little scarf or a little shawl or cowl out of that. Because I thought it would look great with denim. So that was a good purchase. Well, they're all good purchases. And then finally, I know in the video I showed Earl Grey Fiber Company, and that booth was so beautiful. Their logo, everything just, it goes so well. Like, to me, their logo just captures their color palette, just everything about it. I just thought it was just so captured what they're all about. Ironically, Earl Grey is one tea I really do not like at all, and apparently neither does the dyer. But we talked to her and her husband for a little while. So this is their Darjeeling sock, which is a 75-25 merino nylon. And finally settled on these colors. So this one is Desert Bloom and this one is called Patina. So I'm envisioning a two-color shawl out of those. I could have probably spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars in their booth. They had so many beautiful yarns to choose from, but I limited myself to two. Yeah, so that's the end of my Knit City shopping. I thought I did pretty well, especially considering I didn't go in with a plan. I really thought about things before I bought them, and I resisted several other things. One thing, I had looked in Flock Fiber Studios, which I really like their yarns, and I was contemplating they had 3 different shades of kind of aqua turquoise sock yarn that I was eyeing up for a fade of some sort, either for a shawl or a sweater, and ultimately decided not to. And then another booth, I can't remember what it was called, but they had these really neat gradient mini skein sets, and they were based on the characters from the board game Clue. So the one I had my eye on was they had 2 for each character. They had a lighter set and a darker set. So I had my eye on the dark set for Miss Scarlet. Surprise, red. But it went from a deep red, almost burgundy, almost black burgundy, all the way up to sort of a medium red. And then the lighter set took from that shade and went up to very pale. So they had that for all the characters. So I was really tempted by that. The person manning the booth actually had a shawl that she had knit from the darker set of Miss Scarlet and the darker set of Miss White, which actually was all like grays. And they looked so nice together, but in the end, I just resisted. I felt like I had bought enough. So I have no shortage of yarn to knit, and I've just picked up that yarn in Kamloops and stuff from Knit Picks and stuff from Yarn Canada. So I said enough. But But yeah, what it was just in all, we had a really great time at Knit City. It's so neat to see all the knitwear. Everybody's got different sweaters and shawls and things on. And didn't really spot too many knitting celebrities. I did see Andrea Mowry walk by a couple of times. There were a few booths that were selling, like one booth had Le Bien-Aimé, which I did look at, but nothing grabbed me, and I found it quite expensive, honestly. Another booth had, I think it's Spin Cycle yarns. They were very busy when we first got there. There was a lineup at that one to buy them. I saw everything I wanted to see, did everything we wanted to do. So all in all, Jessica and I had a really great time. We stopped in Langley on our way home. There was a shop she wanted to visit there, and just down the street was a cupcake shop, and so we stopped in there and got everybody cupcakes for dessert because she had invited me for dinner. Way back when she found out Cameron wasn't going to be here for the weekend, she had asked me if I wanted to come back to their place for supper after Knit City. So we did that. So it's a little, we were looking at, and I'll put a picture in here because the box just looked so nice of all these different flavors of cupcakes. Mine's the little teeny mint chocolate one. So yeah, I went back to Jess's, and she did an Instant Pot recipe that was really, really good. It was it's chicken, it had like salsa and lime. You cook, and probably some other spices, and you cook it up and then you shred it, and then she served it over like a Mexican rice with cilantro and cheese. The kids had it in wraps rather than over the rice. There's lots of ways you could do it. In a fajita would be another great thing, or in an enchilada. Anyway, it was delicious. So even though I don't have an Instant Pot, I'm going to get that recipe from her because I know I could just make it in a regular pot or frying pan, electric frying pan or something like that. So it was delicious. So yeah, the rest of the weekend I just did a few errands, a little bit of housework, knit, sewed, just had a really great weekend. So yeah, I guess that's it for Knit City this year. I hope to go again next year. It was definitely worth attending. It's just so neat to feel the excitement of everyone, and just to see all the beautiful knitwear and all the gorgeous yarns and things. So that'll be it for now. As I say, we're off to the cabin this weekend, and if all goes well, I should be able to record next Tuesday before we leave for our holiday. So take care until then. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.